What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video, and today we have the Alldocube X1. So let's get right into it. So it's not that often that we actually review tablets, especially the low-end ones, the cheap ones. They're pretty bad in pretty much every aspect. Some of them can't even run YouTube at 720p 60 FPS properly. It's that bad. Today we have the Alldocube X1, and it's from Alldocube, which is the same brand that actually made the Cube Mix Plus. They just changed the name from Cube to Alldocube. Maybe they had the name all along, I don't know, but hey, we have the tablet here, and here it is. So, what makes this tablet special, and why are we reviewing it? Well, for starters, this tablet is currently going for around $200, and the hardware that is packed in here is actually quite a lot, but is it any good? Well, we're going to find out in just a bit here. We got your usual camera along with a flash. Moving on down here, we got some information. And then moving on to the bottom, we have a Type-C port, a microphone, a down-firing speaker, and a tray. And inside this tray, we will find a couple of things. We actually don't find anything. It's just an empty tray that can hold 2 SIM cards, as well as an SD card. So you can either have 2 SIM cards, or a SIM card and a single 128GB SD card, because apparently that is the maximum limit that this tablet can do. Anyways, moving on to the top here, we have a headset jack. On the right side, we got the volume and power buttons. They're very tactile and nice and clicky. Not much problems here. Nothing on the left side. And finally, on the front, we have an 8.4-inch display with an earpiece speaker on the top, which is something you don't actually see on tablets since this is a phablet, the ambient sensor, and the camera. And finally, on the bottom, we have the fingerprint scanner that also happens to be a home button. So yeah, it is a tablet that has a 64GB built-in storage with 4GB of RAM that is paired up with a 2.5K 8.4-inch display, which in order to see here in this video, we have to go ahead and turn off the lights because my lights are way too damn bright. But is it bright? It is bright enough, it's not going to blow anything out of the water, but in normal indoor environments and looking at it in person, it looks very nice and it provides plenty of brightness. And here's what it looks like at the lowest brightness settings. Well, let's go ahead and get started by talking about the phone function here, because this tablet is clearly a phablet, or you might be someone who wants to actually use this as a GPS unit, so we're going to talk about that as well. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started with the phone dialer.
Here is a microphone test of the Alldocube X1. It sounds pretty terrible, but once you actually call someone with the phone dialer, it will be filtered and will sound much better than what you're hearing right now. Yes, the earpiece does sound pretty good, and the audio quality for the camera will sound the exact same as what you're hearing right now.
Moving on to the Wi-Fi speeds, they are pretty good, and I have tested both frequencies in 2 different scenarios. The first test was done inside the same room as the router, while the other one was done about 30 feet away between 2 rooms. Now my maximum local speeds in Ethernet, I would get around 160, 180, and the maximum speed that we have got is around 130, so still not bad, but nonetheless pretty good performance overall. Now moving on to the GPS performance, at least in my area, it performs pretty good. Within 20 seconds I got 21 in view and 7 in lock, and give it 1 more minute and you'll get another 7, and it will fluctuate of course, but the accuracy is still not too bad. It's an accuracy of about 3 meters. Usually you can expect mostly numbers around 9 in use and a maximum of around 15 or so. So it's not very stable. It's not perfect. Your phone is probably better. If anything, it's probably good enough for highway use with an open satellite view. Can it play 4K videos on YouTube? Well, not really, and that is because the option is not there in the YouTube app because of the screen itself. Maybe if you install a third-party YouTube app, then you'll be able to do it, but not in here. Either way, 1440p looks very good, and no hiccups whatsoever. Overall, a pretty great experience on YouTube as long as you're using headphones, because the speakers here aren't really the best. Here, take a listen. How are the viewing angles? Well, that's actually not too bad. It is very dramatic in the camera, of course, but in real life, it's very minimal. In fact, you might not even notice it at all. It's still very good in real life, but again, in the camera, everything dims very quickly and very dramatically, so keep that in mind. The display here does look fantastic. It's very beautiful, very vibrant, and very vivid. Everything looks nice and sharp, and overall, everything is very responsive. But there's actually one thing that is wrong with this display. It could be just my unit, but something that you should keep in mind. And that would be that you may end up with a stuck pixel somewhere on the display. So with that said, let's go ahead and quickly take a look at the camera app. So let's go ahead and open up and I'll show you guys some sample videos and photos. You got your preview, you got your photos, your video recording, and then you got your settings where you can have some very basic options that are plenty and are good enough for this type of device. And over here it says that you can get 4K. It's not really 4K, it's more like 2K because it's 4:3. I'm not sure, the resolution is weird, I'll leave it here, but it does look pretty decent, but again, the video recording is in 4:3, not 16:9. So if you want to upload it or whatever, you're gonna have to go ahead and pretty much edit it, crop it out. But the microphone is okay. Hopefully you're seeing all the photos that I've taken, some sample photos in this very bright environment. And here's a quick video clip showcasing what the video looks like and what it sounds like. Now I've just realized this, but the camera here is pretty much useless at this point if you try to do anything with the footage that you have recorded. And that is because this camera for some reason records it in a .3PG format, but not only that, with a really weird format that only Media Player Classic can actually play. So if you want to get the footage edited and cut it down in your computer, you have to go ahead and record it in Media Player Classic as a screen capture and then editing that screen capture. But the frame rate that you have just saw in the previous video clip is exactly the frame rate you're getting from this tablet. It's actually 26.2. It's very weird. But anyways, yeah, the camera's useless. And with all that being said, all I have to do now is to go ahead and play some games, look at the benchmarks, and conclude the video. So let's take a look. Here are the Antutu benchmark results, as well as the Geekbench results. With our single core results, it puts us just under the Huawei Nexus 6P. As for the multi-core score, it puts us between the Galaxy S7 and the Google Pixel. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started with some Cross Your Road. Real Racing 3. And this time we're going to jump straight into PUBG and completely skip Asphalt and Modern Combat 5. So let's check it out. Alright, so here are the settings. So we're running graphics at smooth and frame rate at medium, and these were the default settings for this tablet. So let's just see how it runs, if it's going to heat up, and how much it's going to throttle. So right off the bat, the game experience, it's not the best of course, especially for a CPU like the Helio X20 or a MediaTek chipset. Because since it is mostly optimized for Snapdragon CPUs as well as Exynos ones that come with some Samsung devices. So it's already getting warm on the left side, and we're getting massive dips in frame rates, of course. We're trying to load the map right here. I'm not going to finish it, I'm not going to bore you guys with this, but I do know that you guys have been telling me to start playing this game properly by actually making an account and using it across my devices so I can get out of the bot zone and engage actual good players. So let's just stop it right here. It's getting really warm, it's going to keep getting warm of course, and the gameplay experience is not going to be the best. So let's just end it right there. Now how is the battery life, you may ask? Well, it's going to be around 4.5 hours, more or less depending on how you use it. And to charge this thing to 100% it will take about 2.5 hours. It pretty much sits somewhere in the middle in the battery life of tablets, with the higher end being about 6.5 hours and the low end being 2.5 hours. How is the fingerprint scanner? Well, when it does work, it works perfectly, so just like that, it does come up. It's not the quickest, but it's pretty snappy, so you shouldn't have much issues. Just keep in mind that you may want to make multiple prints of the same thumb that you use so you can have this thing detected easier. Because unlike some higher end smartphones, it requires you to actually be precise with your fingerprint. So you gotta be right in the middle, and if you want to improve that, you want to make another print of the same fingerprint to have more scans of the same thumb so it reads it better. And if you go ahead and do that one more time, it works pretty well. And sometimes it delays. Does it creak? Not really, it's pretty solid. Again, it's aluminum in the back, glass on the front, and it does come with a pre-installed screen protector. So the conclusion, should you get this tablet? Well, considering it's $200, it's a pretty good price range, but you can always get a better tablet. You can look at the Lenovo tablets, but if you're someone who's looking for a dual SIM card tablet, then this is the one for you. But maybe you're getting it for the GPS function. But again, the GPS function is in the middle road. It's not the best, but your phone is most likely going to be better than this thing. Now, one thing I didn't encounter with this SIM card is that I used Fido, and I had this issue before on another smartphone that is from China. And even though I have double checked the frequencies and everything, mobile data does not work. Or should I say that it works, but I get about 7 kilobytes per second, so it's pretty much unusable. I don't know what causes that. If you guys know, let me know in the comment section below. But yeah, if you try to use data, just be aware that it may not work for you. So in my opinion, what's this tablet good for? Well, it's pretty good for media consumption. If you plan to read manga or comics or books, it's going to be definitely great for that. Watching videos in Netflix and Crunchyroll and YouTube, that's also great. Just make sure you have a pair of headphones and some web browsing, 9gag, and Reddit. And that's about it. It's a media consumption machine because the speakers here are pretty terrible. And that is actually pretty much it for this video. So thank you all for watching. Hope you have enjoyed this video. If you found it helpful, if you did, hit the like button and subscribe for content like this. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care, everyone.